Hello guys, thank you all for coming out today and listening. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how sports impact kids at all ages. And as most of you may know, and most you guys may think if you guys never thought about it, sports in America have impacted many kids that you can think of, specifically youth sports, because that's when kids are most open to new things. So that gives you at a young age the opportunity to develop social skills as well as develop friendships, even figure out things that you like, figure out what you want to do. It can even later on in life, it can open doors. It can open doors for you, pay for your school education. It gives you equal opportunities. So now, it's an estimated 45 million youths participate in sports today. It tends to start out as a hobby, but eventually becomes a lot more competitive. And as you get older, it becomes more of a physical activity, and that like I said, can open to in a competitive atmosphere as you get older, as you go through school, that can open doors. Now, the first thing I'm going to really go into depth and talk about today is the social skills that kids can develop at such a young age when they start sports. So, as I said before, kids develop communication skills as well as friendships and other things at such a young age, just from being involved in all different, whatever you decide to go into, whatever you're interested in. And there's practices scheduled for all those things, so you have that social interaction with teammates so often. It also teaches you discipline. You learn discipline at that age because you're being taught to do drills and stuff. You're getting there at a certain time. Everyone's coming together. And for some kids, depending on how comfortable you are in that atmosphere, it can teach you leadership. And your parents always tell you that you want to be something different. You want to lead the group. You want to not follow by example. You want to lead by example. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the physical development that comes along with being involved in sports. So starting a sport increases physical health. There's, like I said before, what I didn't go into as much, you have practices, and that motivates you to stay physically active because you're always going to be there. And now a really big issue in the United States today is obesity. And according to Donna L. Merkin from her article in Youth Sports called Positive Negative Impact on Youth Athletes, written May 31st, 2013. Since 1976 to 1980, NHANES survey childhood obesity rates have tripled. So that's saying that they surveyed a bunch of random volunteers, and in those results, just in those years, I know it's a really early date, but you can only imagine how much worse it's got. It's become an epidemic in the past years, and it still continues to be today. And you can see, for example, schools also motivate kids to be active because they have gym class. They also offer after-school activities, and I guess when you get to high school and stuff, or middle school specifically, that's when you really try things that you haven't done before. For a lot of guys, it's either you try football. For me, it was wrestling, baseball, lacrosse, hockey. Really, whatever. Now lastly, what I'm going to talk about is how it can open doors for you. Now, what I was saying earlier, how it gives like equal opportunity, you can think of, there's some even superstar athletes today, like they grew up in bad areas, they didn't really have much money come from really much anything, but they really they were really motivated and wanted to be the best in what they saw suit. So for example, like you guys all know Allen Iverson. He came from a really bad area, didn't even live with his mom for a long period of time. He loved basketball, and he was actually first in the state in basketball as well as football. So like he kind of had it all as an athlete, but he was failing in his grades, and then got himself into legal trouble, but eventually went pro, and that kind of gave him everything he really needed. Got him a lot of money, he made a huge impact on society in general. Now, another thing I can relate it to is I want to make a career out of, like, I wrestled my whole life. I wrestled since 2nd grade, and I've always been interested in fighting in professionally. So, like, I've been training a lot of different aspects of mixed martial arts, and I hope to, like, I've trained, like, with a bunch of professional fighters and stuff like that, and I'm hoping to make a career out of it. Like, I'm already in the process of calling the people I have to call. I train with the right people weekly, like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm starting competing in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I got offered to fight in January. So like I know what that's like. Like I got a full ride last year in Iowa to wrestle, but like they didn't have anywhere for me to train. So like I decided to come back home so I could train like my striking and everything, and I got to train with a lot of people that were high end and high caliber athletes. So like I'm on the right track and I'm figuring out what I want to do. But yeah, basically next 2 years I hopefully will be in Florida pursuing that. So like I kind of can have a experience that I can relate that to. And I think in conclusion, with everything I've talked about, with like the social skills kids can develop at young ages, the physical development as well, that kids have something to go to, it gives them that motivation to stay fit, stay healthy, or at least have some interest, some way to express themselves. And yeah, and lastly, what I just told you guys about, how it can open doors for you and it can give you a better future. I think everyone should have their kids involved in sports, or at least give them that opportunity somehow, like try and make it happen any way you can. It's affected my life and my family's life. But thank you all for coming out, listening to me speak. I hope it wasn't too bad, but thank you.